Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're stepping into a courtroom that didn't just hold a trial, it held a reckoning. The moment was so silent, it felt unnatural. Christine stood at the witness stand, fingers trembling around a thick yellow envelope, the kind of envelope no one wants to see in court unless they're ready for war. Across the room, Kody lounged back in his chair, arms crossed, wearing that familiar smirk he'd perfected for decades. And beside him, Robyn, jaw locked tight, eyes glued to the floor, refusing to meet Christine's gaze. But the silence shattered the instant the judge lowered his glasses and asked the question that split the room in half. Mrs. Brown, what exactly is in that envelope?
Christine didn't speak.
She didn't need to. She walked, slowly, deliberately, to the bench and placed the envelope in the judge's hands. And when he opened it, everything changed. Inside were printed emails, notarized drafts, time-stamped contracts, and on top, stamped in bold, Project Separation. Kody's smirk died instantly. Robyn went ghost white, and the courtroom sucked in a single, united breath. Because these weren't divorce papers. They were blueprints for a scheme, a long-running, premeditated plan that began years before Christine ever announced she was leaving. And when the judge asked who provided Christine with the documents, she didn't respond. She simply turned and stared straight at Robyn. From that moment, the courtroom wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a battlefield. Christine's voice cracked but never broke as she read email after email exposing how Kody and Robyn had drafted a plan to redistribute assets, cut the other wives off property rights, and quietly make Robyn the sole legal beneficiary of the Brown family trust. The bailiff even froze mid-step. Even he didn't know what he was looking at. But before the shock could settle, Mary stepped forward, voice trembling, and whispered, "There's more he's hiding."
The room gasped.
Mary placed her own folder on the judge's bench, a folder containing a 2018 trust amendment she now believed was forged. She admitted she had been manipulated into signing it, told it was just medical paperwork, while Kody and Robyn discussed isolating her for non-compliance. And from the back, Janelle, quiet until now, rose and declared, "I have the bank statements." Robyn finally snapped. "This wasn't my idea," she cried, tears breaking through. Panic flooded her face. She knew the walls were closing in. The judge slammed his gavel, calling for order, but the truth was already on the loose. Then Christine revealed the final page from her envelope, a notarized testimony, and signed, dated only 2 months prior. And the handwriting? Someone from Kody's own legal team. Robyn clutched Kody's arm, whispering, "They found it." Kody tried to speak, but the judge shut him down instantly. This testimony described exactly how Project Separation was engineered to break Mary and Janelle's legal ties, cleanly and permanently, leaving Robyn as the sole partner on paper, even while TLC cameras filmed a loving, united family. The gallery erupted in gasps. Then came the moment that split the Brown family down the spine. The judge asked Christine, "Who do you believe assisted in orchestrating this?" Her voice was steady. Her hands no longer shook. She looked directly at Robyn and said, "Ask her sister." Silence. A thick, suffocating silence. Then the back door creaked open, and in walked a woman with a leather-bound folder and a look of someone carrying years of guilt.
Donna.
Robyn's estranged sister. She approached the stand without being called. "I was the one who scanned the drafts," she confessed. "And yes, I was in the room when the plan was made." The room exploded in whispers. Robyn broke down, sobbing. Kody hissed at her. "You said it was handled." But Donna wasn't done. She revealed she had been Robyn's personal assistant, and one of her jobs had been shredding a folder labeled Coyote Pass Holdings. A folder detailing joint finances broken down into pieces and rewritten under Robyn's name alone. Many of those transfers were made after Mary's divorce, but long before the other wives even understood what was happening. The judge ordered a recess to authenticate the documents, but not before asking Donna directly, "Did Robyn know the financial consequences for the other wives?"
Donna nodded.
She wrote the letter to Mary herself. And then she produced an email from Robyn to Kody CC, Donna subject. Mary, make sure she signs. Use the cancer scare if you have to. Mary's knees buckled. Tears filled her eyes. That was the year I found the lump, she whispered. Christine stepped forward and held her as Robyn collapsed in her chair, sobbing into her hands. But the judge wasn't finished. Moments later, a clerk returned carrying a box labeled confidential evidence. Flagstaff property deal inside was a hard drive and a battered red leather journal. Christine gasped. That's the journal Robyn claimed she burned in 2021. The judge read a page and froze. This isn't civil anymore, he said. If these entries are real, we're entering criminal territory. Robyn wailed. They're lying. They're rewriting history. But then, as if the universe wanted every secret exposed, the next witness entered, escorted by security. David Jessup, Robyn's ex-husband. Older, grayer, but carrying the weight of truth. He handed over bank transfers, money flowing from Robyn to a shell corporation tied directly to Kody's accountant. There were custody manipulation threats, financial coercion, and a voicemail transcript from 2017 where Kody said, "We need to control the women now." Even Robyn looked shocked. Even she didn't know he'd said it out loud. And then, the final blow, the Zoom screen lit up.
It was Leon. Calm. Composed.
Unwavering. "I'm sorry, Mom," they said softly. "But you all need to hear the truth about what Dad and Robyn did." And when they finished testifying, when the last word fell, the room wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a burial ground for every lie the Brown family had ever tried to hide. The moment Christine uttered those words, "What wall, Robyn? What did you imagine you were constructing?" The entire courtroom shifted. It wasn't just a question. It was an indictment. It was a warning. And before Robyn could even inhale to form an excuse, the judge's assistant rushed forward with a folded slip of paper. A whisper of emergency. A crack in the facade. The judge skimmed the note, and everything in his expression hardened. He returned to the bench like a man who had just unlocked a vault full of buried secrets. His eyes locked straight onto Kody. "Mr. Brown," he said, voice sharp enough to cut stone, "your digital communications from the past 5 years have been accessed under emergency subpoena. And we have reason to believe this court has been misled." A shockwave tore across the gallery. Christine's hand flew to Janelle's. "This is it," she whispered through clenched teeth. "This is what we've been waiting for." Robyn collapsed into her chair like a puppet whose strings had been cut, sobbing, shaking, crumbling. Kody didn't flinch. He sat eerily still, jaw tight, eyes scanning the room with the precision of a trapped animal calculating escape routes. The judge leaned forward, lowering his tone to something lethal. "If you wish to avoid immediate perjury charges, answer the next question truthfully." The room froze. Did you not delete messages tied to project separation using your private encrypted account?" Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. And then, the courtroom doors swung open. In strode Gwendolyn, back straight, chin high, holding a black iPad like it was a weapon retrieved from a battlefield. Kody's old iPad, the one he swore had gone missing. The one he insisted was lost in the move. She placed it into the bailiff's hands. "He forgot to wipe the iCloud," she announced. Her voice didn't even tremble. And for the first time since the trial began, Kody visibly paled. The clerk plugged it in. The screen flickered alive. Folders appeared one by one. Property legal private when private opened. The courtroom inhaled as one. Voice memos. Screenshots. Erased emails. PDF drafts of project separation going back to 2016. And tagged on the files were initials. RB. MB. JB. CB. Christine Brown gasped when she saw a file labeled Vegas Threat, CB Final Draft, she whispered, voice cracking. "He kept everything." Mary clutched her chest. Janelle turned away, unable to watch. Then a voicemail auto-played across the entire courtroom, Kody's voice filling the chamber like venom. "You girls think you're smart, but you signed it all away. When Robyn gets what's hers, don't cry to me. You wanted independence, now deal with it." It wasn't Kody the world knew. It wasn't the charming TV patriarch who smiled for TLC cameras. It was the shadow behind him.
Cold.
Calculated. Cruel. Christine cried silently, years of betrayal pouring out all at once. Gwen stared at her father with fire in her eyes.
"This is why I left," she said.
The judge slammed his gavel. A 30-minute recess. An emergency injunction. A formal declaration of probable financial fraud and document tampering. But the chaos wasn't finished. Robyn leaned into her lawyer, trembling like a leaf in a storm. "There's more," she whispered. He never showed them the final version. Christine snapped upright. Final version? What final version? Robyn folded into herself, tears streaming. The judge demanded clarity. Robyn's voice cracked like thin glass. There was another draft with custody clauses about truly guardianship. Christine staggered back as if struck. This wasn't about money.
It was about her child.
The judge's gavel thundered again. "Mr. Brown, you will provide every missing document by morning or face contempt." Kody only smiled, a hollow, soulless grin. "You'll need a bigger courtroom. You're not ready for what comes next." When recess ended, the atmosphere felt radioactive. Christine sat stone still at the witness stand, jaw clenched, fingers digging into the wood, while the judge asked again for the final version of the agreement. Kody remained silent. And then, slowly, trembling, Robyn rose. "I'll submit it myself." Her lawyer begged her not to, but she pulled a USB from her purse with a kind of broken resolve. "It's gone too far," she whispered. The judge inserted the drive. The screen filled with a heavily redacted file. Project separation. Guardian draft. Christine's eyes scanned the page and stopped. Next to Truly's name, in the event of parental incapacity, primary guardianship shall transfer to Robyn Brown. Christine screamed. "You tried to take my child. Behind my back." Gasps erupted across the room. Even the judge froze. Kody shrugged like this was a minor inconvenience. "You were unstable. Emotional." Robyn provided structure. Janelle gagged. Mary whispered, "You don't feel anything, do you?" Gwen shot to her feet. "You wanted to erase Mom because she wouldn't obey." The judge lifted a hand. "Let them speak. This is their life too." Robyn sobbed harder. "I didn't mean to. Kody told me it was just precaution." But the judge examined the metadata. "You changed this clause after the breakup, without Christine's consent, and you submitted it to a state attorney under the pseudonym, Rebecca K." Janelle's eyes widened. "That's the woman who worked for my SisterWives closet. The one who disappeared after the bankruptcy." Voices erupted. Chaos spiraled. "Order," the judge roared. He called Robyn back to the stand. "Did you intend to obtain legal guardianship of Truly without Christine's permission?" Robyn sobbed into her hands. "Yes, but only if Kody insisted." Christine crumbled. Gwen ran to hold her. And Kody, unmoving, unbothered, said, "I was protecting Truly. Christine's too emotional." And the entire courtroom recoiled in disgust. From the gallery, the scratching of pens sounded like insects gnawing through wood. Reporters hunched over their notebooks, writing so furiously their wrists trembled. Even the district attorney, now stationed in the back corner of the room like a shadow waiting for blood, was scribbling notes with a speed that suggested he already smelled criminal intent. The judge, tense, unsmiling, tired of the endless misdirection, ordered that every record of communication between Kody Brown and the state attorney's office be delivered to the bench immediately. His tone left no room for delay. He cited fraud. He cited ethical breaches. He cited a level of deceit that made everyone in the courtroom shift in their chairs. And just as the air thickened to the point of suffocation, the clerk stepped forward with a brand new envelope. Still warm. Still uncreased. Delivered by courier just moments before. On the front, in blocky, almost impatient handwriting, "Property Disclosure, MB." A whisper rippled through the courtroom like cold wind. The judge slid it open. His face changed instantly, fatigue replaced by alarm so sharp that even the cameras stopped whirring. "This," he muttered, voice sinking into disbelief, "isn't about guardianship anymore. Then he looked up, eyes wide, jaw set, and thundered. According to this document, Coyote Pass has already been transferred. None of you own it anymore. The words detonated in the courtroom. A collective gasp. Then chaos. The judge lifted the envelope overhead like a piece of cursed evidence and read aloud the nightmare written inside. All 40 acres, land promised as the plural family heritage, had been sold quietly, secretly, 3 months earlier, to a private trust. RKM Holdings, LLC. A name as unfamiliar to the wives as a foreign language until the judge read the ownership structure aloud. 51%, Kody Brown 49%. Robyn Sullivan Brown. The moment those names rolled off his tongue, the courtroom convulsed. Mary's notebook slipped from her hands and hit the floor with a slap. Christine jerked upright so violently it looked like her soul tried to escape her body. Janelle whispered, so low and broken it tore the air apart. He sold us out, while smiling in our faces. Reporters bolted from the gallery, desperate to go live with the breaking story. Kody didn't move, didn't blink, didn't flinch. He sat perfectly still, hands folded, posture relaxed, like none of it involved him, like none of them ever mattered. Robyn, however, crumpled in on herself. She buried her face in her palms, wailing silently, shoulders shaking as the judge demanded an explanation for why this massive transfer was omitted from every divorce document filed in the last 2 years. The wives stared at her, every secret, every suspicion surfacing all at once. Christine's voice ripped out of her throat, raw and furious. Did you know? Did you know? The courtroom went dead silent. Robyn didn't speak. She didn't argue. She didn't deny. She just nodded, one small, pitiful nod, before collapsing back into her chair, sobbing harder. That single nod hit harder than any scream could. Gwendolyn bolted out of the courtroom in disgust. Mary rose slowly, so quietly that the hush around her felt staged by fate itself. Your Honor, she said, her voice calm. Too calm. May I speak? The judge granted her permission. Mary walked forward, staring straight into Kody's eyes. You promised this land was for our grandchildren, she said, voice steady as ice. You called it our legacy. Then she pulled a creased, weathered piece of paper from her purse, a printed email exchange. She held it out with trembling fingers. But you lied. On the very day you asked me to divorce you, you lied. The judge urged her to approach. She handed him the email, dated just days before her divorce filing. In it, Kody discussed dividing joint properties with a financial planner. Not for legality, not for fairness, but to consolidate power, to secure control, to reshape inheritance without the wives ever knowing. A shiver shot through the gallery. Janelle stood abruptly. You told us it was for adopting Robyn's kids, she shouted. But you are building an empire, for you and her. Kody leaned into the microphone, eyes glittering with arrogance. You're damn right I was. The judge froze. Even he didn't expect that level of open contempt. Mary Brown, he asked, voice tight. You are the first to be legally separated. Do you wish to file charges for deceptive coercion? Her calm evaporated. 20 years of betrayal coded her words. Not yet. Because he didn't do this alone. She turned toward the gallery. Someone in this family helped him. Before anyone could breathe, let alone question her, the courtroom doors swung open. A figure walked in, one no one expected to ever see again. A woman from the earliest seasons, long vanished from their story, carrying a leather folder embossed with a single year, 2005. Whispers erupted. It was Annie, the forgotten financial administrator from the Brown family's earliest era. She looked older,
Worn.
haunted, and she carried the original LLC documents. Through a trembling voice, she explained how she once helped Kody establish a family LLC with all 4 wives listed equally, 25% each. But over the years, something sinister happened. Names removed, bylaws altered, safeguards stripped, shares rerouted, subsidiaries created, until, eventually, Kody and Robyn controlled everything. She placed the documents on the judge's bench, The original signatures of all four wives and the later, secret filings containing Robyn's name beside the chilling phrase, Asset Migration Strategies, 2011. Janelle whispered, broken. He never even told us. Christine collapsed into Gwendolyn's arms. Mary murmured through tears. We were erased before we even knew it. The judge's patience evaporated. He called for a fraud investigator immediately. Kody's attorney went ghost white. Robyn shattered. I didn't know everything, she sobbed. I swear I didn't. You didn't want to, Annie replied coldly. Then she revealed the final blow, an audio recording from 2013. Robyn's voice unmistakable. Mary will go down first. Then Christine. Janelle won't fight. Once it's just me and Kody, we'll fix everything. Silence. Total.
Deadly.
Christine turned to Robyn, eyes red, voice trembling. Fix what? Our lives? Our children? The judge took a long sip of coffee, then issued his ruling. All assets under RKM Holdings frozen. Full fraud investigation launched. Kody Brown referred to the DA for coercion and financial misconduct. The courtroom emptied slowly, wives standing together for the first time in years. Not as sister wives, but as survivors. Gwendolyn confronted her father, her words the final nail. You built this. Then you burned it. The judge's gavel fell one last time.
No wives.
No land.
No legacy.
Only Kody, alone, exposed, recorded forever in the court transcripts. And outside, the world exploded. Judge freezes Kody's assets. Robyn implicated in secret scheme. The sister wives reunite in courtroom showdown. But inside, the real aftershock continued. Because Christine had not left. Down the corridor, in a small evidence room, she examined the iPad Gwen had turned in. One mislabeled folder, Yard Plans Flagstaff, caught her attention. It was no blueprint. It was a vault of secrets. Dark, grainy surveillance footage. Wire transfer meetings at night. Coyote Pass scheming. And worst of all, a man Christine hadn't seen in years. Martin Allred. Her missing cousin. The footage showed him sliding documents across a booth table. And Kody whispering, once Robyn's in full control, it all funnels to me. They can't fight. They don't read contracts.
Christine didn't cry.
Not yet. First came fury. She called Mary and Janelle. You need to see this. They gathered, watched the footage, realized the scale of the betrayal. He didn't just rob us, Christine whispered. He obliterated us. Meanwhile, outside, reporters cornered Robyn. Her face streaked with ruined eyeliner. Her phone buzzed with a text. You forgot the Flagstaff tapes. They didn't. Her knees nearly buckled. In the courthouse, the judge received another anonymous file, Exhibit R7. Video from the original guardianship meeting. Kody's voice. Christine's unstable. She won't sign custody over. That's the plan. Janelle stared at the footage, rage simmering. Christine stood beside her. Silent. Resolved. Because now the truth was undeniable. Kody orchestrated every move. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every ruin. Janelle inhaled deeply. One of those breaths you take when the truth finally stops hiding. I kept convincing myself we were wrong, she whispered. That this was just Robyn's influence. But this time, he built the weapon himself. Christine's eyes shimmered, grief and realization swirling together like stormwater. He wanted freedom from us, but not from the money, she murmured. Mary stood in the doorway, arms crossed, bitterness rising in her voice like smoke. And we let him do it.
We signed.
We smiled. We obeyed. Sometimes the chains you carry are the ones you helped weld. That night, the three women gathered in Mary's cramped hotel room, their sanctuary and their war room. Christine spread her notes across the bed. I want to take this beyond the courtroom, she said. Her voice didn't shake. It hardened. I want the world to know everything, TLC, the contracts, the NDAs. All of it. Janelle's breath stilled. We'd be breaking everything. The network. The lawyers. The church agreements. Mary looked between them, her expression sharpening. Then break it. Kody burned everything down already. We are not going to let him bury us in the ashes. Christine reached into her bag and pulled out a worn manila envelope, 11 years old. Inside lay a producer's agreement from 2011. Kody's signature sprawled across clauses that told a story they never knew they were living. Complete creative control, final cut approval, authority to override cast objections, and the most painful line: in case of cast disagreement, Kody Brown will serve as the family voice. Their truth, every one of their truths, had always been filtered through him. The next morning, Christine submitted the newly discovered Flagstaff video files into evidence. The courtroom felt different, charged, electric. Kody wasn't present. His attorney claimed he was emotionally unfit to appear. But Robyn was there. And she looked like a ghost. Not pale. Not fragile. Empty. Like someone who had finally realized the throne she sat on was built on quicksand. When the prosecution asked if she was aware of the Flagstaff recordings, she shook her head. I didn't watch them, but I knew he filmed things, she whispered. He said it was protection. Protection from whom? The judge asked. Robyn didn't answer. She didn't have to. The answer came from the women he feared the most, the wives who had trusted him. Then the courtroom detonated. A call came in from a former crew member. He had backups. He had everything. And he had a recording, Kody speaking off camera to a producer. Let the women believe they're equals. But this show needs control. My control. If Christine leaves, let her go. We'll spin it. The room shook with outrage. The judge leaned forward, eyes narrowing. If this audio is verified, we're no longer dealing with manipulation alone. We are looking at systemic exploitation, financial and emotional. You could hear hearts breaking in the silence. Just before adjournment, Christine stood. The courtroom held its breath. The cameras pivoted. The press froze. Even Robyn looked up. Christine spoke slowly. I know people will call this revenge. Drama. But I gave him years of my life. I carried his children. I defended his lies. And so did they. She gestured to Mary and Janelle. But it ends today. No more silence.
No more shame.
And no more sister-wife farce. She reached into her purse, pulled out her original wedding ring, and placed it on the judge's desk. Enter this into evidence as the last time I ever belonged to him. No one spoke. No one breathed. The bailiff burst in. Your Honor. Urgent communication from the Arizona Attorney General. The judge stiffened. They've opened a formal investigation into the dissolution of assets involving Kody Brown, Robyn Brown, and RKM Holdings. Criminal charges will be filed within 48 hours. Robyn collapsed where she stood. The screen cut to black. Except for one question lingering like smoke. Who gets arrested first and who flips first? Media exploded. The courthouse was sealed. Inside, Robyn sat in a private room, ashen, trembling, gripping a tissue she no longer remembered taking. Her lawyer leaned in. The AG is offering immunity. Full immunity if you testify. About the trust. The filings. The guardian clause. Everything. She stared at the desk, hands shaking. And then she whispered, I'll do it. A document slid across the table. State of Arizona versus Kody W. Brown, a sticky note attached. Your testimony changes everything. Minutes later, court resumed under emergency extension. 2 detectives entered. A forensic accountant took his seat, his folder labeled 17 fraudulent transfers, 2018 to 2023. Then Kody finally appeared. He looked like a man who no longer recognized the world he once ruled. But the sharks recognized him. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, we have sworn testimony from a cooperating witness, Robyn Sullivan Brown, detailing the structure of the RKM Trust, concealed marital assets, and the guardian clause. Kody whipped around, eyes wild. You said you'd never turn on me. The judge slammed the gavel. You will not address the gallery. He turned to Robyn. Is your testimony still truthful under oath? Robyn sobbed. Yes. Mary leaned back, finally releasing a breath she'd been holding for 12 years. The courtroom became a battlefield of receipts, dummy accounts, drained joint funds, diverted school money, coerced divorce, manipulated producers. The forensic accountant concluded, "We didn't just find out. We followed the money." Kody sank, color leaking from his face. The judge asked, "Do you intend to respond?" Kody's voice dropped to a cold whisper. They were going to leave anyway. Even his own daughter, Gwendolyn, quietly stood and walked out. Some betrayals don't need an audience. Then the AG's representative stepped forward with a sealed order. The judge opened it. "Mr. Brown, the state of Arizona is issuing a warrant for your arrest for fraud, concealment of assets, coercion, and perjury."
Gasps. Cries.
A quiet whisper from Mary. "It's over." Detectives handcuffed Kody. The metal clink echoed like a final verdict. Christine didn't even look at him. Robyn folded over. No longer a queen, just another casualty. The bailiff returned with a final folder. Submitted anonymously, Christine's Vegas file. The judge opened it and went still. "Miss Brown, did you know you signed over custody of Truly twice?" Christine's world snapped. She had only signed once. Years ago.
Quietly.
Before everything shattered. The second document, newer, cleaner, sinister, bore her signature perfectly. Too perfectly. Only one person had ever studied Christine's real signature that closely.
Robyn.
Christine looked at her. Robyn looked away, not in guilt, but in fear. The judge declared, "This document was notarized by a state-certified officer. Under your legal name." Christine whispered, "That's not possible. Someone copied my real signature." Janelle asked, "How? From where?" Christine's face drained. She pulled out an old Flagstaff school form, signed in 2021. A form Robyn had helped her mail. Placed side by side, the forgery matched perfectly. This wasn't about control. This was about erasing her. Meanwhile, in a courthouse holding cell, Kody muttered to his attorney, "She won't survive this. She knows too much." The mic caught everything. Hashtag Justice for Truly began trending instantly. Then an email surfaced. A custody reassessment hearing for Truly, submitted by C. Brown Legal from an IP address traced to Robyn's home Wi-Fi. The judge summoned her back. Her voice was shaking. "I didn't send it, maybe one of the kids." But then the notary was found. Robyn's estranged sister. Terrified on video. Kody's voice pressuring her. "Just stamp it. She doesn't have to know."
Do you want to get paid or not?
Robyn's silence on tape was damning. The judge ruled, "We have probable cause to believe both Kody Brown and Robyn Sullivan Brown engaged in custodial interference and falsification of state documents." And then handcuffs. For Robyn. Her scream echoed. Christine whispered, "Let her feel it." But the horror wasn't over. The judge held one more file. Someone else filed a custody reassignment last year. Not for Truly. For Solomon and Ariella. Robyn froze mid-scream.
What?
"They're my children. Who would do that?" The judge opened the petition. It wasn't from an outsider. It was from Kody Brown himself. Filed 8 months earlier. Requesting sole legal guardianship in case of emotional instability, arrest, public controversy. The courtroom erupted. Even betrayal has layers. But this one split the earth beneath them. Mary gasped, the sound tearing through the hushed courtroom like a raw blade. Christine recoiled, as though an invisible force had shoved her backward, while Robyn crumpled over a bench, her sobs filling the space between the murmurs of stunned spectators. The prosecutor's glare burned holes into the file before him, and for good reason. It was a ticking time bomb that had just detonated in real time. Even Robyn, long considered the favored, had never been safe in Kody's kingdom. The judge's voice cut through the room, chilling everyone to the bone as he read Kody's own words. Robyn is too emotionally reactive to handle media attention or complex legal negotiations. For the children's sake, I, as their primary guiding influence, request sole custody. The weight of betrayal pressed down on the room. A man who plotted treachery at every turn saw even his closest allies as expendable. Christine turned slowly toward Janelle, her voice hoarse, ragged with disbelief. He was going to take them, too, and I didn't even know. Janelle's face was a storm of horror and vindication, realization dawning like fire. He's not defending anyone. He's replacing us. One by one. Robyn's sobs escalated into a raw scream. I protected him. I lied for him. I burned things, signed things, all for him. Her body shook against the bench, a living testament to the final cracks in the illusion of her control. But the judge was not finished. He turned to the prosecutor. Do we have evidence this was officially submitted? Reluctantly, the prosecutor nodded. The document had been filed electronically under an alias, but the IP traced back to Kody's own house. Hidden in plain sight, corroborated by a USB recovered from a safe, the file contained drafts and notes addressed to a private custody counselor, Marie C. Christine's eyes widened. I know her, she murmured, realization creeping across her features. Janelle blinked twice. She went to Robyn behind my back to talk about Truly. Kody used her too. History repeating itself in silence, unless someone intervened. The judge called a 15-minute recess, but the room remained frozen. Mary excused herself, seeking air, her reflection in the courthouse glass a pale echo of disbelief. Inside, Christine clutched Truly's photo, whispering vows to herself, while Janelle checked on Gwendolyn, who sat on the steps outside, live on camera, voice steady despite the storm. I don't want my dad in prison. I want him accountable. I want the truth. All of it. And I want every kid he ignored to understand. You weren't the problem.
He was.
Then, via Zoom, Marie C., the custody consultant, appeared. Her tone clipped, professional. I counseled Mr. Brown on custodial plans. He claimed Miss Brown was mentally incompetent due to breakdowns and media exposure. He indicated that if Robyn were ever indicted, he would want the children removed immediately. Christine's chest tightened as Marie continued. I drafted an emergency transfer plan, but did not submit it. Robyn had approved it, unbeknownst to herself, until this moment, the moment when loyalty reveals itself as a mirage. Robyn, makeup destroyed, gasping, screamed into the courtroom. How could you? How could you take them too? Kody wasn't there. He was in federal processing. The judge's words were measured but merciless. You remain their legal guardian, but this document proves intent to sever custody. Robyn shook violently, tears staining the floor. No, he loved them. He loved me. Christine rose, voice breaking. Then why did he do it? Robyn could not answer. The courtroom resumed, but the emotional epicenter had shifted. Robyn, long seen as the antagonist, was now a victim too. Then came the forensic technician, revealing backup files, exit strategy revised, notarized documents naming Solomon Brown and Ariella Mae Brown. Kody's plan to move the children to a private Utah address, tied to Christine's missing cousin Martin Alred, was exposed. Mary finally spoke aloud what everyone felt. He never stopped rearranging pieces. Even now, he continues to construct his escape. The judge's gavel dropped. This is now a federal custody issue. And the courtroom doors opened again. The DA's voice pierced the stunned silence. Christine Brown is also under review. Christine staggered back, shaking, as a sealed letter landed in her hands. Another legal ambush, filed months ago, hidden until now. The contents of the Nevada petition hit like ice water. Christine had allegedly caused emotional harm to Truly by allowing her exposure to legal and media scrutiny. Her hands trembled, chest tight. Janelle whispered, "This was planned long before the case even started." And then the final blow. Peyton, Christine's own son, had signed an affidavit claiming she caused trauma. Christine's world wavered. The courtroom, already heavy with betrayal, seemed to hold its breath. Christine could not stay seated. Tears streamed as she stood, voice raw, trembling, yet resolute. I did everything I could to protect Truly when everyone else tried to control her. I spoke out. And now they punish me for resisting. Robyn, silent but present, witnessed her resolve. Christine continued, steel now in her tone. I will not allow this again. Not by Peyton, not by Martin, not by Kody, not by anyone. A deal was forged in ruin, not in love. Robyn pledged her testimony, full disclosure of LLCs, custody arrangements, producer memos, NDAs, everything, in exchange for shared custody acknowledgement. Christine, after a long, tense pause, agreed. In the courtroom, the avalanche began. Robyn's testimony exposed Kody's manipulation, project separation, network damage control, contrived family drama, and financial subterfuge. Then, the final bombshell, a private interview with Kody, proving his calculated control, his narrative over his children, his legacy prioritized over human lives. The court recessed, but the battle had erupted on a second front. Nevada. Christine flew out, prepared to testify virtually. Robyn, in her holding cell, uncovered digital evidence from Kody's backup files. Proof, a message, a plan that revealed a man whose greatest weapon was trust itself. In a private room, Christine and Robyn faced each other, raw and unfiltered. The folder passed between them held confessions, digital and physical, Martin Allred's admissions, Kody's accomplice role, proof of the orchestration behind the curtains. Anger, grief, and resolve collided. I did not come here to ask for forgiveness, Robyn declared. Good. Then what do you want? Christine spat fire, then accepted the fragile alliance. Together, they would testify, united against the empire of secrecy. The courtroom reconvened. The evidence was staggering. Kody stripped of assets, manipulated custody, all filings exposed. Custody of truly remained with Christine. Coyote passed to be sold and distributed equally among Christine, Janelle, and Mary. The empire crumbled, brick by deceitful brick. Outside, cameras flashed. The last wives standing, Christine and Robyn. Unlikely allies, forged in ruin, walking away with heads held high. Justice, chaos, and freedom entwined. Christine, later by a lake, let her wedding ring fall into the water. Not his land, not his legacy. And in that moment, the long, tortuous saga